Okay, welcome back, and what we're going to do now quickly before we actually get onto the software side of things is just take you through some of the key settings within the players themselves and the mixer. To get into the settings of the units, you need to actually hold on to this button over here, the right hand side, called Util. If you press and hold, you'll actually get another kind of menu pop up in the middle of the display there. And then you can just use the scroll mouse icon type thing over here, encoder, whatever you want to call it, just to circle through some options, okay? So what you really need, if you look through all of these, is the one that says preset setting. Don't know if you can just see that. If you click in, then you have some options now. So the first thing to look at is this thing called a unit number, okay? Unit number 1. Okay, you can now assign, I'm not sure what the limit is, looks like 14, but basically you want to assign the actual number to the unit so that it's uniquely defined on your network. Okay, so I've set that to unit number 1. I don't need to worry about network ID. A touch adjust, if you want to have some physical sensitivity to the platter, you can use this to change that that feel, but the one I'm really looking for here, right, exactly. So it's already on. That's the one I actually wanted to show you. Right, MIDI channel. This is the key one here. Right, can you see that? That's set to MIDI channel 1. What that basically means is that, I mean, you could set this again. You could change that to pretty much anything. Up to, it looks like 16 is the limit there. The point though is that when that is set, anytime you press a particular button or do something on this particular player or controller, as it's now become, anything you touch will be sent down whatever number MIDI channel you define here. Okay, that'll be explained as very important later on when we start to talk about Traktor and TSI files and receiving and sending MIDI messages. Okay, so it's important that we know not only the unit number but also the MIDI channel that this particular device is currently defined to be. So I could have set it to anything else. I'm going to leave it, just for simplicity's sake, to be number 1. Okay, loads of other settings in there that you don't really need to worry about in terms of what we're trying to do now. Just make sure that you know what this particular device is set to in terms of MIDI channel. Okay, and then press the utility option to exit out. So the reason I even mentioned any of that is because on this unit here I need to tweak this one so it's different by definition, and so that the computer knows from that particular unit. So if that one is sending everything data wise down MIDI channel 1, we need to make sure that this one sends all its MIDI data down another channel, because we don't want anything we do on this particular controller now, as it's going to become, we don't want anything that we press and touch on here to get confused with anything that this particular controller might be doing. So again, we go into your utility menu here, we go to the preset settings, unit number, let's have a look here, it's set to 2, that's good. We did that from earlier, if you remember, and we're going to go through, and we're going to find MIDI channel. Great, you see, right, by default these units come shipped in MIDI channel 1. As I said before, that's already on MIDI channel 1. I don't want to have this unit here sending data down the same channel, because, for example, if I press play on this particular unit, it's going to send a signal which is the equivalent of this unit here being pressed in terms of play, and then in Traktor's mind it'll think, well, you want me to play the same thing on the same particular deck, and it won't look good, basically. So let's set it to something different. I'm going to put it to 2 because I'm simple like that. Okay, so that's all I'm going to worry about on this particular device now. So I'm going to click back on utility, and we're saying again completed. Okay, on the Denon itself, if you have a look in here now, so to get into the utility options, right, utility options are just there. Okay, and the display to control them all is just here, mind the dust. Right, so when you click on here now, then you have the audio, system, MIDI, other. Right, in terms of MIDI, you see there it says input channel 3. So what that is basically doing is the equivalent of telling this piece of hardware what channels that I want to send MIDI data and MIDI signals through. Okay, so if that's sending things down MIDI channel 1 and this is sending things down MIDI channel 2, obviously I don't want to have this sending anything down MIDI channels 1 and 2 either, because it might be that I press something on this particular device and it's going to confuse it with what these two devices are going to be sending. So you can see there it's been set to input channel 3 in terms of receiving data from Traktor, and the output channel's 3 as well. Okay, so I'm in the MIDI section. Basically it means any inputs and outputs are going to come down a MIDI channel 3, and again when we look into Traktor later on you'll see how that sort of translates into what MIDI signals and things can be defined. Okay, right. With all of these kind of settings on the X1600, it's not that intuitive. You have to keep pressing this particular utility button to come back out. I guess so that you can save everything on the fly without having to, you know, rehash everything, you know, every 5 seconds. But anyway, so the other thing I wanted to show you in here is the audio. So by clicking on the audio, right here in particular, I have, in fact, let me just go back a second. Right, which one is it? Which one is it? Ah, USB audio, that one. Okay, right, hopefully that looks a little bit better. Right, I've actually got this set to master, okay? If I go in there for a second, you've got a choice of channel or master, right? Because I'm using this particular mixer to drive Traktor's internal mixer, I've actually changed this to be using the master bus. Okay, what that will mean is that any audio that's coming through the X1600 sound card is going to be coming down and routed under one master signal bus. Okay, if I want to use this mixer in external mode, I'd set this to channel. Okay, and that means then any of these particular settings which are set to, well, in this case, you know, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, you don't have control over where you actually route the audio when you're in this particular channel mode. Okay, I don't need to worry about that. I'm going to put it to master mode because I'm using this in an internal setting. You'll see how that works in a second. The other thing I want to kind of specify, if you go back into audio, I've got to try and remember which one it is now. It's under system. Yeah, exactly, under system. This FS, I can't remember what it stands for at the moment, but basically the numbers underneath indicate the sampling rate under which this sound card is going to be performing. Okay, the Denon X1600 allows you to have 3 presets. It can be 44, 48 or 96 kilohertz. Okay, and basically the higher the number, the higher the quality of the sample that can be pushed through the sound card. The key as far as Traktor is concerned is that whatever you see here needs to be set the same within the Traktor software. Okay, in practice I'm finding that using a lower setting here, in this case 44.1 kilohertz, both here and in Traktor, gives not only a very acceptable sound quality, but also reduces, well, in fact eliminates, for me anyway, the possibility of distortion and noise in any recordings. There was an update made about a year ago where any higher settings than that I was finding was causing a lot of feedback and distortion when I was playing tracks. After about half an hour or something, everything started buzzing. It wasn't a nice sound. Nothing to do with the mixer itself, it's just that Traktor was just pushing too much oomph down the throat of the laptop's sound capabilities, and it just ended up in a big mess. So you can find this on the Native Instruments website as well. It's recommended to set that particular sampling rate to 44.1 kilohertz, and to be fair, I mean that's CD quality anyway. You know, you're playing MP3s which are at this level, so you're not losing anything out by going to that particular setting. Okay, it's just something you should be aware of if you're getting any feedback distortion when you're playing your stuff through Traktor. Okay, there's loads of other stuff inside the settings there, but those are the key ones in terms of getting everything configured with Traktor. So that's it for this particular section. I think we're ready to get Traktor up and running, so you can see how these guys now actually talk to the software. Okay, see you in a bit.